Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC, where we go into the trenches of the trading world in search of firsthand due diligence, with CEOs, marketing directors, retail, and private investors. Tonight, we have a couple great guests. But before we get into all that, I want to talk about the Discord and the channel and sort of where we're going. Listen, we are going to be relaunching the Discord. My goal is to keep it a place for solid due diligence, a spam-free place, and a place where we all contribute. I don't want lurkers, and I don't want people in there contributing nothing. And I want you to ask yourself tonight, seriously, there's tons of YouTube communities out there. Are you a taker, or are you ready to learn? Are you ready to grow? Are you ready to stop listening to every single other person out there that is playing off of the emotion of 2021 investors? Because that is what is happening, and I want you to see through it. They're trying to trigger you. They're trying to get you to buy in on these pump and dumps. And trust me, just ground yourself in really strong due diligence. And I'm firing off today because, when I see some of the familiar faces and the familiar people on social media just spreading nonsense, it fires me up because I want you guys to take responsibility for yourself, and I made a promise to myself to learn and grow and share this information with people that are willing to put in the time and effort. That's why I do these lives, to get people actively involved and making well-informed decisions. Yeah, you shouldn't use this channel, and I want to reiterate this. You should not use this channel as your sole source or even primary source of your due diligence. If you want to start somewhere, start with otcmarkets.com. Start with share structure. All right. That's where you should start for verification. And then, network with companies that you want to invest in. Reach out to management. Read filings. If you don't know how to read filings, or if you're not that great at it, you don't know what certain terms are, Google it. Research a video on how to break down a filing. I know I've had Sam Aker I've had him on the phone too, but I've had him on the channel, and he's talked about breaking down filings. That would be a source where you could reach out and say, hey, what does this filing mean on this page in this filing here? So no, but I really true do enjoying. I enjoy doing these podcasts, and I'm glad I can contribute something of actual substance, something tangible for potential investors of these companies. But yeah, we will have an active Discord, and I'm going to be very selective about who I let in there. I'm going to clean house, and it's going to be a private Discord. And I have a ton of special things in the works for Discord members. I'm really, really excited, and you guys should be too. Let's take a look at the chat and see who we have here with us tonight. I hope you guys have the energy that I do. Man, there's a lot of comments already. We do have Jord Hugga. A couple of shrimp were at the bar with me tonight, eating a bowl of fries. I went to ask if I could have one, and the bartender said, don't bother. They are too shellfish. That's awful. But thanks for sharing. Dad joke of the day. All right. Anthony DeVideo, one of my favorite subscribers. Let's get this DD. I say let's get it and let's do it. Gordy. Hello, BFG. I think you got the wrong channel, but I'm just busting your chops. It's great to see you, Gordy, again. So we got Gary Wright. I need to rob a bank. Not enough money to spread around. Ain't that the truth? There are a lot of great plays. And it says, wake up, E-Rock. I'm up now. Can you tell? He knew I was very tired earlier, but when I do a lot of reading, when I get amped up to speak with these people that are passionate about their business, they want to see their success for their shareholders and their business and their products, I'm going to get fired up for it. So yeah, that's what coffee's for. But Wayward, always good to have you here, my friend. All right. Who else do we have here? The unboxing bastard. Pop it. I think he was responding to somebody's. All right, John Don, great to have you. Rob, producer Rob is not with us right now because he just had a gallbladder surgery. I hope you are recovering nicely. He's doing well. So shout out to you, and I can't wait to have you back next week, sir. The show runs so much more smoothly with you, and I got a funny story for you later. But I'm going to try and add the bells and whistles the best I can. So yeah, Lisa Matthews is in the house. Lisa, always great to have you. One of my first subscribers. And where is Sam Aker in here? I know we have Michael Singleton. We got Charlene. What is going on? And the list goes on and on and on. And let's just get to the nitty gritty. So I really wanted to just talk about just the overall climate and what we're dealing with. You guys got to just and that's why I opened up the way I did, because I want you to be smart and I want you to take a step back and really ask yourself if what investment you're making is the right decision. And, I really try to come at things as unbiased as possible, which is why I cover more than one stock, and I grew, I was heavy on ILS and I'm still love ILS. It's one of my favorite stocks. It is my favorite stock. It's my favorite long-term investment, but I've got to meet so many great people along the way, meet so many, discover so many great companies along the way, so many products, and meet so many people that have strong passion for what they're doing. And I've thoroughly enjoyed sitting down with some of these people. I have three returning guests, by the way, tonight. And one was added in last second, but I couldn't be happier for what's going on. I want to start with ticker BIXT today. And let's get through their latest PR. And this is pharmaceutical stuff and it's science stuff. So any questions that you guys have, I'm going to try and manage the chat and everything tonight. Make sure you ask questions. This isn't for me. This is it's for me and all of us. This is for you guys. Take advantage of the chat and ask good questions. First-hand due diligence. Let's take a look at this recent PR. All right. BioXyTran gets broad patent coverage on 60 plus viruses. The company developing oral and intravenous drugs to create COVID-19 and other viral diseases announced that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has published the company's patent application, and I'm not going to read that number, lectin-binding carbohydrates for treating viral infections. The pending patent covers broad claims about the use of hundreds of combinations of antiviral complex carbohydrate drugs to treat over 60 named viruses. The article goes on. The glycovirology platform is a market-forming technology with potentially wide-reaching implications. This patent represents what we believe is a new direction in the evolution of antiviral therapies that originally started in the HIV epidemic. And it goes on to talk about how BioXyTran, with its complex carbohydrate inhibitor, entry inhibitor, is next-generation antiviral, which prevents cellular entry by neutralizing the virus outside of the cell so it never gets into the cells to replicate. We talked about that in the last show, and I'll tell you, I put it right there in the chat, in the live chat. If you scroll up, that whole podcast is right there, and it's a lot of just explanation as to what exactly scientifically the process is, and I hope to have that re-explained tonight. So BioXyTran has completed 3 successful in vitro tests for COVID-19, RSV, and H1N1 that demonstrate the potential of our Collectin antagonist to be used as a broad-spectrum antiviral. Further research is needed to determine the boundaries of the broad-spectrum activity. It goes on, Collectins are involved in the cellular entry mechanism that blocking them interferes with their ability to enter the cell, or that Collectins are involved in the overall disease pathology. Since our initial thesis was published in March 2020, over 40 scientific journal articles have been published on the topic. This is possibly a groundbreaking patent because we believe it is the first of its kind in the field of glycovirology. The broad claims in terms of combinations of molecules and the number of viruses likely affected a present and preeminent position in this field of research. Being the first in the field and progressing closer to a registrational trial demonstrates the company is a leader in drug development in this field. Intellectual property portfolio goes on to talk about how this will basically add to that. This field research holds so much promise. There exists the potential for there to be a rush to develop drugs, which could rival that of the movement to develop antibiotics, which occurred after the first use of penicillin. All right. And this is a quote from Dr. Leslie Ayahi. I think that's how you say it. I'm gonna ask Mike if that's correct. How many big pharmas that have over 60 disease indications can say it comes from just one platform technology? This patent covers some of the largest indications in virology and includes viruses like COVID-19, influenza, herpes, Epstein-Barr, shingles, hepatitis C, measles, mumps, and rubella. All right. And it talks a little bit about Prolectin M. And I hope that he talks a little bit more in depth, but Prolectin M is an oral galectin antagonist that prevents the entry of SARS-CoV-2 virus in humans. In recent clinical trials, the drug achieved a 100% rate of negative PCR tests by day 7. In 3 days, the drug achieved an 88% responders rate of negative PCR tests. The treated population experienced no viral rebounds during the 14-day observation period. The company is preparing for phase 3 clinical trials in order to seek regulatory approval. So this is really exciting stuff. And for those of you out there that are like, all right, I'm sick of the COVID stuff. I'm sick of it. This is all very, very relevant stuff. And so it's not just about COVID. It's about influenza and all those other things that were just mentioned in that PR. So let's just get into this. Are you guys ready? Let's bring him in, Mr. Mike Sheikh. Mike, welcome to the BFC. How you doing?
Good.
So what is going on? How you been?
I've been doing good. You did a really good synopsis, just kind of going over the press release. This press release is huge, man. Not many people. I'm actually surprised we didn't get a bigger lift than what we did off this press release. But it's kind of like we went to the moon, we stuck a flag on it, and we said the moon is ours. Okay. I mean, literally, that's what we did in this field of research. Now, I want to give you a disclaimer. It's a patent pending, but we're the first guys out there. Who's gonna say, oh yeah, I did this? It's not gonna happen. Okay. So, I mean, it could happen. Don't get me wrong. It's just very unlikely. But look at what they gave us. Not only did we get a whole bunch of different viruses, we got a whole bunch of molecules. So we literally got, let's use the moon analogy. All the minerals on the moon, all the different ways that we can make metals, we got it. That's all different ways that we can use carbohydrates to treat these viruses. Well, that's what we have. There's hundreds. Okay. So now let's say we start proving this technology out and we want to do more. We want to go after that Collectin Signature. Guess what happens? Oh, you want to do that? Okay. You want to license it from us? No problem. Pay the licensing fee. So that's the really huge news is when we prove this technology out, this is a huge value. So we covered the molecule, we covered the viruses. It's the other thing is broad spectrum. We're finding out that our molecules not only act on one virus, but multiple viruses. Just that one molecule we did in vitro studies on 3. We plan on doing some more in vitro studies, and I can't say which ones that we're going to do next because there's no. I mean, we're going to sit down and formulate that. But if you read between the lines, why am I talking all about HIV? There's a huge case as to why a galectin antagonist would be great in HIV. I mean, we use that to form our theory on why it was going to work in COVID. So we're really excited about that.
Real quick, could you explain to people that may have missed the last podcast? And by the way, guys, scroll up because the whole podcast is there. Watch it; it's worth a listen. Galectin inhibitors. When you talk about galectin, just briefly discuss in simple terms what that is.
A galectin inhibitor is something. Basically, it blocks a protein that recognizes carbohydrates. That's what it is. Now, why is that important? Because you see, what viruses do is they use those proteins to gain viral entry. We believe that it's a tethering mechanism. The virus tethers to the cell before it achieves the viral entry. So if we interfere with that process or we block that process, then the cell can't ever get into. The virus can't get into the cell. I mean, that's and in that press release we talked about the new direction. So for the past 20 years, what everyone's been doing is they kill viruses, or they lower the viruses by letting the virus in the cell and messing with the replication process. Okay, that's like, I'm a military guy. That's like, hey, let's open up the gates to our fort. Let the company, let all the enemy in, and we're going to have a kill zone there. Okay, yeah.
Sounds familiar. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that works. That destroys the enemy. But there's risk with that, right? So what we're saying is, you know what? Let's not even let them in the fort. Let's just block them, like when they get on shore, before they even get here. Or that's equivalent to, hey, let's just bomb the living daylights out of them before they even get to the fort, right? There's a different way of thinking, and this is the next generation idea. This is the new direction this entire we think virology is going to go into. That's why we call it glycovirology. So anyhow, that breaks down pretty much.
So when you were talking about the patents, you were talking about the patent pending. Is the patent basically for a combination of molecules, or is it for the process itself for those certain diseases?
No,
that's why I was a little confused in reading that.
We didn't really get into the process of how it binds the spike protein. That's called the mechanism of action, and we already have. I think those are future patents that will come on the mechanism of action. They take a lot of money to prove the mechanism of action. No, we're just talking about a whole bunch of combinations of carbohydrates, different formulations of different carbohydrates together, single, apart, together, whatever. That's one set of it. And the other set of it is, oh, hey, we got a bunch of viruses that we believe that this is going to work in.
Right on. So if you could just continue to summarize the rest of that PR, just go in a little more depth in regards to just how,
well,
how you.
No, go ahead, there's some other ones in there. Like I just mentioned, we put a little bit of focus on the HIV. Another one that I think is near and dear to our chief medical officer is shingles. We have a case study coming out on that where we had 85%. This is one person, okay, and it's in the process of being peer reviewed. But there was an 85% reduction in lesion size over 6 days, and the pain just went away within hours. That's huge. There's 2 million people afflicted with shingles, and we think that there could be a topical solution. So not only we ingesting it, but we think there's a topical application for that. So that really gives you an idea. I mean, this patent, this technology, this platform technology is enormous. I mean, think about all the companies that are going after influenza, HIV, all these other viruses. I mean, there's deadly viruses. I don't know if you noticed, we put, I think there was Ebola, Marsburg, what's that other, the Nipah virus.
Nipah.
I mean, we can make a case for all of them. I mean, these are viruses with high mortality rates, over 50%. They're not fun. You do not want to get those viruses.
Are there certain galectins, like in researching and just reading on this, are there certain galectins that would be, are they more
Galectin
vulnerable than others? Or like is each disease going to have some kind of a different molecular code, I should say, to...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So what you're talking about, it's called the Collectin Signature. It's like a disease signature where certain galectins are upregulated or downregulated. See? So we basically want to formulate a molecule that basically how do I say, neutralizes the virus or the disease state in such a way where the certain galectins that are upregulated, we can downregulate them. And there might be a 1, 3, and a 9. There could be a 5, a 5 and a 7. We could make all different drugs for that Collectin signature.
Right on. Yeah. And I thank you for correcting me on that. Now I know to use the term signature.
The Collectin signature. That's right. Signature. Yeah.
And by the way, I did I did see your presentation at the Emerging Growth Conference. And by
Mhm.
the way, in regards to that, thank you for using plain English. I think that a lot of shareholders are going to get a lot out of that, or potential shareholders, because sometimes when you get into the nitty gritty, you get into the science, you guys just have, it's harder to break through to an average investor mentality or knowledge base, I guess you could say, because not everybody is well versed in medical knowledge or scientific knowledge, and so I'll tell you right now, just in starting this channel, I've learned about so many different things. All right. And so I find it fascinating that, in doing due diligence, I consider myself a little bit more knowledgeable on this, not close to where I should be. But I mean, it really is a great thing. That's why, guys, if you have questions, this is the time to ask Mike, put them in the comment section. But no, it's really, really cool. So I'm glad that you're able to share this knowledge with us. But yeah, so talk about the have you gotten any traction? I know you talked about like working with small pharma. Have you got any traction with these companies? That anything in the works that you could possibly share with us today? Um, I have to pick a little bit. I gotta ask.
You got to. You know, I don't know how to convey to investors because they got a little bit of it, but maybe not so much. I'm deadly serious about pursuing this as an option. Okay,
Mm,
we are talking to big or not big pharma, small pharma. We want to do a deal with small pharma. And what I can say to you is that we have signed an NDA with a small pharma. That's kind of breaking news. So we're actually breaking news on this channel here a little bit.
good.
But it's not worthy of a press release or anything. It's just it's like it basically what I want to convey is I'm very serious. We are serious as a team of pursuing this. And then I'll expand a little bit more beyond that. You remember there are also companies that were looking for these strategic alternatives. So I can say that we have bid on one of these companies looking for strategic alternatives.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're in the fray. We're
Good.
very serious about doing this. So, as an investor, you might look at us as we might actually be a consolidation play. I don't know
Mm,
how this is going to turn out, but we are excited. So, anyhow, I think that's about all I can go into. We can't tell you about discussions and what we're
mm.
having, but I could tell
Yeah.
you if there's activity, and it's starting, and it's going to be more, and it's going to continue, and it'll be more significant.
Good. And that's a great answer. So I'm glad to see that you guys are pursuing that. And you guys, if you haven't watched the Emerging Growth Conference with Mike, it was great and a lot of plain English there. And you know what? OTC left a comment here, and I gotta to share this. You know what? He goes, "It sounds like Halloween." And when I was talking to Mike before the show, I go, "What is that noise or what?" It's actually rain. It's raining there. He goes, "It sounds like Halloween." So, it does. There's an eerie sound, but hey, it adds to the ambiance of what's going to take place in a couple days, Halloween. So, Brian has a great question, and I did want to bring this up. Where's the money coming from, and from to continue phase 3? So, my other two questions were the Triton Fund, the Triton
Right.
Group. So, could you talk a little bit about where you are at with the funding, how you're going to proceed forth, and just let's focus on the funding aspect right now.
Okay. So let's talk about Triton. Triton is an institutional investor, and they're a fundamental institutional investor, and they're squarely in our camp. And it's sometimes hard for people to read what the S1 is all about. So let me just kind of put this in simple English, like you asked for everyone out there. Look, what Triton has done is they've given us a backstop. This is basically a line of credit for us that we are able to draw down
Mm,
at our option. It's at a fixed price, no death spiral, none of that funky business. Okay. So when the time comes and the market conditions exist, we can draw down on it. We may or we may not. It depends. If some of you would, if more retail would wake up and realize the real value here, then we might never have to do it. We might never have to use it. But they're there. They basically are acting as a backstop for our phase 3.
mm,
So if we can't excite the retail base and get this get the stock up to where to its glory days where it needs to be. It's kind of like a backstop for us. They believe in us and they want to see the technology go. So you could say that's our backup plan. So we're showing you our backup plan. We're working on the primary, and I just kind of went over what our primary is, but people don't believe me yet, but they will. Okay,
yep.
So
they want to see it.
We're very serious about pursuing small pharma, and let me tell you how simple my pitch is. It's like, look, we got something. I mean, this is to a small pharma. Look, we got something that's going to be bigger than penicillin. Are you interested in getting shareholders who are pissed off and have beaten your stock price down to a massive discount under cash? Do you want to get them off your back? Okay, well, you need a pipeline. We have a pipeline. You also have the cash. Why don't we do something together? It's just that simple of a pitch.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, this is a different era now. Does the influx of retail, does funding in general, does that make you a little nervous moving forward as to what if you don't get the response from a retail shareholder to boost your share price, to create that attention towards the stock itself? And are you afraid that if you don't do that, that big funders won't come in, future funders won't come in?
We definitely need to generate a little bit of excitement in our stock. We'll get that. I think when we finally make our announcement that we started dosing people, that'll be a nice little value inflection point. So I mean, there's like peer-reviewed some articles that we have. So when people see that the scientific evidence is building, I mean, how many times do I need to knock investors over the head? I'm like, shingles, 2 million people a year get it. And we have something that's, if the case studies prove out in a clinical trial, it's pretty darn amazing. So, it's just really a matter of time before retail, gets it. And I think I think the retail that does step in is going to find out that there's really not that much overhang on our stock. And it's ready. But anyhow, there's only one way to find out is to push the buy button.
Yep. And in this economic reset, I guess you could say, for the OTC, because it isn't as active as it was in 2021. I think it's silly to make the comparison of what, that's not the staple of what the OTC is. And that's just a fact, whether people like to hear that or not, and there's a lot of real companies out here that we could pretty much buy at a discount at this point, in my personal opinion. And my last question for you, I wanted you to talk about really the importance moving forward of these phase 3 trials. Why is this so crucial?
Yeah, phase three. The first, there's two elements to what we have. Okay, there's a phase 3. We have two areas or two regions that we're seeking approval. One is in India, and the second is the United States. We're going to focus on India and why that's important. Getting a registrational phase 3 trial is so important because that's when we get a deal with an Indian pharmaceutical. The Indian pharmaceuticals are a little bit different in the sense that they will, you can't say they will, I can't say we will. They are very highly motivated to do a deal once it's approved. They're not taking any risk. But the truth is, we are set up to be our own distributor in India. Should no one step up to the plate, we'll figure it out. But that's why it's a big deal. Is we have a contingency plan, but we're definitely ready to license. And once it becomes approved, it should be licensable. Now, is the regulatory climate's a little bit different in India than it is in the United States. So it's actually helpful to kind of go over this again for some of the viewers out there. In India, what happens is you have to do all the manufacturing up front. That means when you do your confirmatory pivotal trial, what you're doing is, if you meet the endpoints, there's not this long review process. It's pretty much, they say, oh, you met your endpoints, great. Here's your, then they don't find some way to withhold the approval, by, like in the US, go to an AdCom committee or something like that. They're looking at safety. But in the United States, you get to dose a person before you have all the manufacturing in place. Now, so ideally, it's cheaper to do it in the US, unless, like us, you can make the commitment to all the manufacturing. We've made all the commitment to the manufacturing, and it really wasn't a risk because we knew the drug worked. It's rare that you know the drug works before, or has, I shouldn't say works, has efficacy before you go into the trial. It's rare, but we knew that. So when we, it wasn't a real risk to us. And for investors thinking that there's a risk of manufacturing in the US, well, we've done it in India, so of course we can do it in the United States. So we're highly confident, and that helps compare the US versus the Indian markets. So know that you're kind of hedged. We have a dual regulatory strategy, the US and India.
Right
so
on.
if one should, kind of not move as fast, we could pivot and go to the other. Or if one is more expensive than the other, it's we have options. That's the nice thing.
Good. Michael Singleton did have a question. If you could answer this, I do got to move on to my next guest. How long is phase 3?
Sure.
6 months, 4 years? Basically, I would assume it varies, but go ahead.
No. We're talking about a 5-day trial. So how long is it
Really?
going to take us to do a 5-day trial? It's longer than that. It's 5 days of dosing, right? But then it's 30, 60 days of observation, because we're also going after, we're also monitoring the incidence of long COVID, right? So that's kind of a nice to know type of thing. So yeah, 6 months for phase 3. We're looking at 400 patients, 5-day trial, and we're trying to recruit the most prevalent disease on the planet right now, which is COVID-19.
Right on.
But we're doing it in this is done in India. So like we can't use people in the United States in an Indian trial. It doesn't work that way.
Got it.
But you can use Indian people in a US trial. It does work that way.
Interesting.
That's the interesting caveat.
It is interesting, and I wanted to post this question, and as we get you out of here, I do want to post this question, and maybe you could answer this in the chat if you'd be able to do that. Once the trial is over and proven to be both safe and effective, what does BIXT hope to get in the future? A license deal? BIXT distributes. Where do you see the company going once proven? I don't know if you want to answer that one. How brief that would be.
We could answer that, right now. Where do we see this once it's proven? We see a licensing deal in India, and then rapid label expansion. So if you don't know what label expansion, what it means is, all those other indications I talked to you about, COVID-19, RSV, influenza, why couldn't we do a rapid label expansion on those other indications? And basically, so you have one drug, you come into the hospital with an upper respiratory tract infection, you take one drug, no test, no nothing, and then you just go home and you start feeling better in hours to a day, and then you test PCR negative in 3-4 days, or whatever time frame it works out to be when we finish our trial.
Right on. Mike
cool.
Sheikh of BioXyTran. Thank you so much for joining me again. We're going to touch base again in the next couple of weeks, because I'm just very, very intrigued, and congrats on the success you've had, and I hope you guys knock this thing out of the park. Seriously, thank you for coming on.
B-Rock, thank you. Pleasure being a guest.
Rock and roll. Well, that was excellent. Lots of information there. I want to move on to ticker GRPS. Scamps. Let's get into this. I'm going to go to their latest PR. Let me pull it on up here. We are going to talk about, let's see, what do we have? Boom. Oh, all right. Transamerican Aquaculture announces upcoming shrimp harvest and increased authorized shares. Dilution. All right. Well, we're going to discuss that. We're going to see what happens. Shrimp harvest dates. We are pleased to confirm that our farm is operating as expected, and our shrimp harvest now underway. The harvest was scheduled to begin in late October, and we are right on track and gearing up for a successful season. Our meticulous approach to sustainable aquaculture practices, state-of-the-art technology, and stringent quality control measures ensure that our shrimp are the highest quality, ready to meet the seafood demands on the market. Point number 2, release of harvest numbers. In our commitment to transparency and accountability, we will be sharing the exact harvest numbers with our stakeholders and the public. The release of these figures is planned for the month following the completion of the harvest. We believe that sharing this information is crucial in demonstrating our dedication to ethical and responsible shrimp production, as well as giving potential investors a clear way to value our potential growth strategy in the shrimp farming business. And point number 3, here it is, increased authorized share. All right. In preparation for potential financing to support our growth trajectory, the commissioning and intensification of more ponds, expansion of business lines, and operational efficiencies, we have increased the number of authorized shares. It is important to note that this step is taken with a focus on the future. Any financing that may result from this increase will be directed toward expanding our operations, increasing our capacity, and meeting the growing demand for our premium shrimp products. This development should be of little concern to our long-term valued shareholders, as it is aligned with our mission of growth, sustainability, and providing exceptional value. Transamerican Aquaculture remains steadfast in our commitment to sustainable, responsible aquaculture practices, contributing to local economic growth and meeting global seafood demands. Our upcoming shrimp harvest represents another significant milestone in our journey. We look forward to sharing the harvest results and, most importantly, delivering high-quality shrimp to the market. That's what I'm all about. We invite our stakeholders and supporters to follow our progress as we continue to grow and make a positive impact on the aquaculture industry. GRPS. Let's not wait on this. Actually, you know who we're going to bring in too? We're going to bring in Nick Coriano, because he's been working on this project too, alongside Adam Thomas. So let's bring these maniacs in. Gentlemen, welcome back to BFC. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having us.
Gosh,
I like the maniac intro.
No, you guys. What I notice right now is that's not a real baby grand behind you, is it?
Is it one of two options on your?
I noticed your background changed. I'm like, what was that? I like that. I dig. I was a piano major in college, so
I like the shrimp background.
You know, hey, Adam, how did you like that game last week?
Yeah, but it's a good thing we're talking about shrimp. Yeah, our bills are not doing so hot right now.
No, that was the freaking embarrassing. I gotta say, very, very embarrassing. So there's a lot to talk about. And I'm just gonna turn over the floor to you guys. You know, let's get it out there right now, because I know some shareholders are upset. Some shareholders saw the recent share increase, which was about 36 million, if I'm correct. It didn't seem like, oh my God, they added 500 million shares. I mean, we've seen companies dilute the high hell in this OTC market and in the market in general, because there's not a lot of funding going on, like I was saying before. So talk a little bit about the share increase and whatnot.
Yeah, sure. So we went from 3 billion authorized, which we did when we took over the company in late September of last year. That was kind of preemptive to do what we needed to do in terms of fundraising, knowing that we were going to need to raise funds for the harvest for this year. And so just, kind of looking at the capital expenditures we're going to have going into next year and things like that, it's really about long-term growth. Now, I think the important thing to note here is we increased the authorized, but we haven't increased the outstanding. So there's been no new issuances or anything like that. We do have some financing in place with GHS, so we've been, pretty forward with that. It's been in our filings and things like that. So, but I mean, yeah, it's really just kind of giving us options. We have the harvest coming up. We've got some exciting developments going on in India related to brood stock, and so for us, it's more of a just depending on how aggressive we want to get with expansion going into next year. So when we're talking about increasing the capacity, so like right now, that would be cleaning more ponds, putting more ponds in commissioning, doing higher density stocking. So that will allow us to raise more shrimp in a smaller space, but still keeping that sustainable kind of extensive model that we've been focusing on. But that includes like artificial aeration, and that includes additional pumps. So, we were talking beforehand about the pumps that we have, that big motor that we bought. That motor alone pumps about 1.2 cubic meters of water per second. For what we want to do next year, we need 9 cubic meters per second. So that is new motors, that's new pumps, that's a whole gamut of things that, it's just kind of looking at our plan for next year and how aggressive we want to be with our first harvest of next year, because we will harvest our shrimp we've actually started, and it'll probably take us about a week and a half, 2 weeks to get through the harvest there. We will take about 2 weeks off, and then we will start our first cycle of 2024 the first week of December.
So let me ask you. So you're talking about almost 8 times the output for these pumps.
Yep.
Are you guys actually going to be expanding into the extra acreage that you guys do have?
So we currently, right now, the farm is broken into like 2 main sections. We have the northern section, which is like all 5-acre ponds. That's where we're focusing right now, because those ponds have been rehabilitated for the most part. But it includes like, cleaning the ponds, preparing the ponds. Right now we have 21 that we're using for this cycle. We plan to do 72 in the first cycle of next year. And then we also have a big 30-acre pond that we'll be stocking as well. So really looking to increase just from a physical capacity standpoint by about 350% going into next year. And then with the aeration, the additional pumping capacity, looking to increase the stocking densities of the shrimp as well. So, where we're looking at probably a 4 to 5 multiple in terms of the number of shrimp we can produce in our first run for next year. But again, that's one of the reasons why, it's an option we have. If we want to get that aggressive, we can do that.
That would be about 8 to 10 million pounds at that point, right?
So it will probably be, the first cycle will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 million pounds. And then the second cycle about the same. And when you look at our revenue models and our projections for last year, which, there's some changes that we've had this year because of the audit and all that stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But going to next year, we're still trying to hit that target. And that's just depending on how aggressive we want to be with the first cycle and then the second cycle.
Wow. So that you're talking about doing a 4X in the next year.
Yeah. I mean, our plan is to, our plan that we set out late last year when we first took over was, this year we want to be the number 2 shrimp producer in the United States. Next year we want to be number 1. That's our goal.
Okay. So in regards to like the goals that you've set, are you meeting and achieving those?
I mean, we're on track for our goals for next year. Yeah. I mean,
Great.
Produce a successful harvest, name and ticker change, which, good Lord, if anybody has a contact in FINRA, we'll be more than happy to talk to you about that. Name and ticker.
Does that concern you at all? I mean, because you're not the only one. Like, I mean, this is like across the board. It's a nightmare scenario for CEOs and management. When you have to go for that name and ticker change, I never hear anything positive about like, oh man, it went very, very well. You know what I mean?
The funny thing
I rarely hear that.
The communication back and forth up until about 2 months ago was they were on top of it. I mean, we were getting comments back. We were, responding to those rather quickly as well. They'd send additional things back. And then all of a sudden, like, we think we cleaned everything up. All the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. And then all of a sudden it's been crickets. And I mean, we've been following up with our council weekly, asking them what's going on. They've been following up through every channel that they can get. I mean, kudos to our shareholders. I've been getting a lot of good, kind of ways and inroads that we can make with FINRA based on feedback from the shareholders. So we've been trying all avenues. I mean, it's been something we started in February and it's still not done. And so at this point, like, it's an identity thing for us. We're under this GRPS ticker symbol right now. There's still a lot of, I'll say, like, historical negativity related to the company in that respect. So getting out from underneath that shadow and being able to create our own path forward with our company, with the branding and all the things that we want to do, it's really, really, really important for us. Like, besides the harvest and revenue coming in from the harvest, it's probably the number 2 thing for us. So it is concerning. And like I said, anybody that's got any help or any friends that work there, we're not shy about that.
Right on. And I did want to say, like, guys, a lot of times when companies go public, companies go public is to raise funding. Now, you guys, you're not bloated to high hell. We've seen some nightmare scenarios in the OTC. Now, do you see eventually like a significant share restructuring once the price moves upward, once the revenues and the profit margins and you guys have proved yourself and FINRA like sort of gives you that new identity? Do you see yourselves doing what's appropriate and possibly getting to a 3 to 5 cent share price organically, and then being able to possibly split up into NASDAQ or a bigger board as such?
I mean, yeah, the goal is to get to the big boards. Well, we're not going to be shy about that. I think one of the things that we listed out was we'd like to be on the QB by the end of this year. That's going to be a byproduct of the stock price, which I think is it's been floundering lately just because, there hasn't been a ton of volume, just across the board. We need to do as I think Mike is the gentleman's name that was speaking before me, just getting the name out, getting the awareness out of what we're trying to do. And the name and the tickers is a big part of that. So, getting the awareness out there, really focusing on, driving the story of the company, getting the harvest under our belt, getting some of this brood stock stuff moving that we've been working on with India. And then kind of a couple of the other things that we're working on that, we're not ready for prime time yet, but there's a lot of good news to come from this. And that's besides the fact that we're growing incredibly healthy, quality US shrimp. Like that's one of the biggest things that, you go to the supermarket, you see Indonesia, Thailand, Ecuador, and it's just a product of the United States of America with an American flag on it. That's it, man. That's the quality.
And it's not shrimp on top of shrimp. I mean, this guy, and I'm not even joking. And if you followed this channel, you would know this. He could crank out 20 million shrimp this year, but it wouldn't be quality. That's not what they're going to do. I want to give a shout out to Jord. Thanks for the super chat. Hi, Adam and Nick, two of my favorites. Thanks for joining. So thank you, Jord. I really appreciate that, man. Hey, producer Rob, splitsies, coffee. But no, seriously, John Don had a question for you too. And actually, before we get to John Don's question, I feel like Nick is the fly on the wall. Nick, why don't you share your thoughts about GRPS and trans-American aquaculture? And we want to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of you guys know me from 3DX was the intro. But Servitude Investor Relations. And we've been very adamant about being super selective about who we work with. And two of our top criteria are a real company and a real CEO. So a real entrepreneur, which sounds easy, right? Easy enough. But a real company in the OTC is actually not that easy to find. And I'm talking about people with, real assets, real machinery, real production capabilities, that if they weren't on the OTC, there would still be value. And I think today, with so many delistings that go on, I've said this, I've alluded to this and kind of, said this on my Twitter before that. If your stock gets delisted, and GRPS is nowhere near this, none of my clients are anywhere near this, but to be clear, right? If your stock gets delisted and you're mad because you lost your investment, then you didn't really hold something with real value, right? Because if you have something with real value, it can be a private company and still be worth something. So that's always what excited me about, GRPS was there was a real business there. There's real assets they were sitting on. And then Adam, I've dealt with at least 100 CEOs, and Adam has been super aggressive. He's always getting things done. He doesn't call me with the laundry list of things he needs. He usually calls me with the laundry list of things he got done. And any roadblocks he gets in his way, he kind of storms through them. So, the FINRA thing is something that everybody's going through. It's not just OTC. The NASDAQ guys are going through that. A lot of delayed actions. So to see Adam kind of maneuver this, this cesspool of the OTC and FINRA and the SEC has been really impressive, to be honest with you. And then, farming is one of those things that, you put a seed in the ground, you get a tree up later, and you got 10 more seeds. You put those 10 seeds in, you got 10 more trees, and then 100 more seeds, and it kind of just keeps growing. The shrimp farming operation, same thing. So I'm super excited to get through the first harvest. And I think it's very impressive that I think today we're at a $4 million market cap, something like that. And, it costs some companies $10 million to put these situations together. So for Adam to finance this with such limited capital, right, to me, it's super impressive. So when I saw the authorized shares come up, to me, it's not a big deal, because even if those shares were in the marketplace, and let's say our cap was 8 million, there's companies that don't get structured for less than 10 for what Adam put together. So the fact that he's been able to go so far with so little is a true testament to him as an entrepreneur. It's also a testament to where I think he can take it, right? Which is he doesn't need a bloated $20 million financing to get it done. He knows that, he can use the limited resources he has to make the maximum output. And it's impressive, So at Servitude, we're 1000% behind them. We're long-term shareholders. We took long-term position here with Adam, kind of to weather the storm with him, for better or worse. And we're excited. We're excited about just getting the shrimp out of the ground for the first run, seeing, what the hiccups were this year, and seeing how we can, 2x, 4x, 10x next year. I mean, the capabilities at the farm are really interesting, because in addition to the other potential ponds that he can fill out, there's a whole nother track, I think, of 1,800 acres that we can also buy later, right? That's an option. And then we haven't even started talking about covering the ponds, which would lead to year-round, production. So when you start factoring all those things in, you start realizing, okay, if we can get the first few, harvests out the way here without hiccup, and there's going to be hiccups, guys, right? It's a farming operation. Like seeds go bad, things happen. But if you can get through the harvest one by one, I believe that, in 3 to 5 cycles here, we can build a monstrous company. And there's a lot of barriers to entry. So you're not going to see a shrimp farm pop up tomorrow. The credibility that he has with his family in farming is, you're talking about 100 years of experience there. So there's a huge moat on that side of the business. And then the competition is slim. Most of the big shrimp producers are coming out of Asia. So, when you talk about
it's a high demand market too.
A huge
demand. Is a huge market.
Huge demand market. And I don't see competitors popping up. I don't see them coming up in the next 5 to 10 years here. And but on the other hand, I do see a demand for homegrown shrimp, right? I think people are going to become very conscious about getting their shrimp, meats, fruits, vegetables from overseas. I don't think people realize this, but I think 60% of the apples in the United States come from China. Like apples, like Washington grows apples, New York grows apples, but we don't have it close to here. So I think, and that's a product across the supply chain with food. And, to be in a specific seafood sector where the margins can be very high, or the pricing can almost be set by the supply chain, is exciting. So I'm excited for the journey, and I'm excited to see, what pops up next. But overall, just really excited to see Adam do his thing, man, because it's been very pleasant to see an entrepreneur who, just keeps pushing through the weeds, getting through things. I mean, the name change itself is an endeavor that I've seen entrepreneurs, I've seen CEOs in the OTC forget the name change altogether just because they thought it was too much of a task to conquer. So in addition to, farming a 1,000+ acre operation, he's tackling the SEC and FINRA too, and squared away his financing, which, by the way, is not easy. So, kudos to you, Adam, man. And I love what I see, and I'm long, and I tell my family I'm long. I tell my friends I'm long. I'm telling everybody I'm long. And if you're out there, we'd love to have you on the journey with us, as long as you're long, right? Because this is not, you don't put the eggs in the ground and you get the shrimp tomorrow. That's not how this works, right? And even when we do get to revenue, a lot of that revenue, most of it is going to be used for expansion. So we're here for the long term, but we do think we can create a leader in the space for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, and it's remarkable. You guys know I've talked about like Good Shop. I subscribe to Butcher Box. There's Agridime, and a lot of times what they do is I know Butcher Box offers seafood with that. So Adam, essentially, you could tap into the market with all these other companies and say like, hey,
we kind of started that. We kind of started that this week. We kind of been we've been nipping at the buds of some of these farm to table operations.
Yeah.
So to speak. So
can you fill us in on anything right now about that, Adam? Or
yeah, no, nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
But we're nipping at
trying.
We're nipping at the heels for sure.
Yeah, getting the shrimp out of the ponds, getting them packaged up nicely. That'll help. That'll help with that endeavor we're talking about right now.
Well, I'm hoping in the next month or so you are able to send me some of the product, because I absolutely want to try it, and I will have it right on this channel, and I will have you on, and I will make shrimp, and we will do it live taste testing, and I will look forward to that. So if you could do that, I'm totally in 100%. I say we do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll put our shrimp, the taste and the quality of our shrimp up against anybody. There's no question about that. So
I'm excited, and we've enjoyed the pictures. We've enjoyed the updates on Twitter. I want to get to a couple questions from some of the people. John Don has a question with regards to the broodstock sector. If successful with sales to India, how many dollars approximately will it add to your bottom line?
That's a 7-figure thing right off the bat.
Okay.
We have a really good business development guy on the ground in India. He's been in the industry for 30 plus years. So, I mean, he's connected, with all the big hatcheries, all the big farms, especially up and down the east coast of India. So, we're positioned quite well in terms of being able to take advantage of that and the quality of our animals. There's been a couple of hiccups this year. We're not the only competitor in this space, the only player in this space from a U.S. perspective. There's some very mature companies that are doing broodstock, but a lot of them focus solely on broodstock, and they don't have the farms behind them. They don't have kind of growing the shrimp in an environment that is going to be quite similar to what it is in India. So for us, the opportunity is massive. The connections that we are cultivating right now, that's also something that, it's money can't buy type thing. And then, for us at this point, we've presented to the Coastal Aquaculture Authority of India. We've gotten some good news from there, but I'm still waiting for something in writing that we can kind of share with everybody.
So you're basically vertically aligning it. And, and that's why, have you ever had any hiccups in regard? I mean, are you always with the genetics aspect of it? Are you going to always try and stay a step ahead? I mean, what goes into that? I mean, because a couple of people were saying, well, like, actually, I forgot who it was. I think it was username Hogman. It was like, there's always going to be bumps in the road with the genetics part of it. And that was one of his concerns, was that aspect of it. What are you guys doing in that aspect to sort of stay a step ahead of the whole genetics of the brood stock?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're working with a couple of the labs here in the US to do some disease testing specifically. So the things that you can do from a genetics perspective are disease tolerance, disease resistance, and then you work on the growth characteristics that not only will, encompass those robust disease issues, but also maximize growth rates. So, kind of the gold standard is a shrimp that is resistant to almost every disease known to shrimp, but then also grows at a very good clip. So for us, it's always going to be refining and retooling and making in exposing shrimps in the stocks to these types of conditions so that we can deal with those when they come up. Like, there's disease in the water, like in every pretty much waterway you're going to have, whether it's saline or it's brackish or freshwater, you're going to find some sort of issue with the water quality. So it's taking the measures to ensure that the water quality is best, but then also making sure that the shrimp have the ability to thrive in those environments. That's also an extremely important factor for broodstock. Broodstock, we have broodstock on the farm that are very good for the system that we have. So the location, the system, the kind of the water quality, all the natural factors that go in there. But then also working with our partners that will be, cultivating in India. It's not just about, hey, here's shrimp that worked in our ponds. It's what can we do to make sure that your shrimp are the broodstock that you're getting are the most conducive to success for your farm. Because a byproduct of that too is, trying to help some of these farmers and working with these farmers overseas to really increase the quality of their products as well. Because, we can get the U.S. market, I'm not going to say we can corner it. Cornering the U.S. market would be 150 million pounds of shrimp a year, which is, if we get there, we'll be having a different conversation about everything. But, it's really about enhancing the quality and the brand of what we bring to the table, not only from a domestic perspective, but also from a genetics perspective.
Right on. I did have a couple more questions here from our chat. People are excited about shrimp from Burton. All right. Very optimistic numbers. Devil's advocate. What challenges could prevent you from meeting the projections? And you talked a little bit about that, but go for it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things too is, our projections are based on a lot of, like I was explaining earlier, like CapEx. So naturally, the farm is in a nice spot in terms of natural wind production, which basically brings natural air into the ponds and things like that. So we have a little bit of an advantage there over, say, somebody that's in a different location just because of the way the wind flows. But increasing making sure we have the CapEx, making sure we have everything work. Like, one of the big things that we've been looking on is the grid power, the grid capacity in where our farm is and what we can do to mitigate any sort of issues related to grid power. Because one of the big things that could happen next year is, we have all these ponds, they have all this aeration, we have all these pumps going, all of a sudden we get a blackout. And then at that point, you're not circulating the water. You're not getting the right amount of variation in there. That could be a big problem when you've got 28-gram shrimp in the ponds. So trying to mitigate every single factor that we can control. Obviously, we can't control the weather and stuff like that. But from a standpoint of having redundancy in systems to make sure that there's no issues, or there's, if something does come up, we just pick up right where we left on. Turn on.
So to simplify, maybe some people don't know what CapEx means. CapEx is, your any capital expenditure or capital expense, such as your buildings, your fixed assets, your vehicles, your equipment, those kind of things, right? So if we need a motor pump and that motor pump goes out and we don't have the financing in place for that, that would throw our projections out of whack. It hasn't happened, right? But those are that's what CapEx means, in case anybody was wondering what CapEx means.
Right on. And I gotta laugh because John Don equals Hogman. Hogman. Yes. I should know that by now, right? You've only been a subscriber for so long, but he did have a lot of questions for you. So you know what? I honestly, John, reach out to Adam, shoot him an email with all your questions. He is transparent. He likes talking about this stuff, and he likes us sharing these things. Guys, this is what we're all about here.
I'll shoot you my email. You can shoot it to me and I'll forward it to Adam.
There you go. Yeah, pop it right on there. I'm just taking a look at the chat right here. Jason Bowman just put this up.
Yeah, I see this. The man from Georgia.
The man from Georgia. I wonder what the quality is. That's the question.
You got to remember that shrimp. The shrimp was this idea of farming shrimp on land is, while in some places it's been done for generations, right? It's still the most efficient way. I just got back from Cape Cod last weekend. They still got $1 million boats going out into the water to catch crabs, man.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that's not a cheap proposition, right? So, and not controllable, by the way. If BP has an oil spill, off the coast there, it screws their whole fishing season up, Started a crawdad business, setting up traps and harvesting the traps. And in 5 years, he went from selling out of the back of his truck in a parking lot to generating 700 million sales. Yeah, no, I believe it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it, man. Seafood business, man. The seafood business is, you just go to the grocery store and try to buy seafood. Tell me how much you spend. Right?
And if you want good shrimp, man, you're paying $30 at least for a pound of shrimp.
Well, and that's the whole thing. We've been talking to a couple of our board members are historically in sales and seafood sales and things like that. And you walk into Whole Foods and they have Thai shrimp. Now, Whole Foods has a very strict standard on terms of what types of feed you can use and the practices that you do to farm your shrimp. So they have some Thai shrimp in there that are smaller than the shrimp we're producing. One from Thailand, going for $18 a pound. And that's it's granted, Whole Foods is not your average run of the mill grocery store, but at the same time, for a commodity product that you would find at Walmart for like $4, $5 a pound, that just shows you the price difference on quality when you meet the standard and you get into these right marketplaces. So
cool. We have a question from Michael Singleton. Are you looking at solar or other power to ensure you don't have blackout issues?
Yes. So the one nice thing about the farm is it's 1,880 acres right now. We do have the space. We did the calculations on what we would need. So at peak energy, I think we need sorry, I'm going to geek out here for a second. We need a little bit over a megawatt in terms of when we're just getting ready to harvest with the shrimp and everything with the aeration and the motors running. About a megawatt of solar energy is about 2 to 3 acres worth of panels. So it's really not a lot of space. The issue is the batteries. So that's one thing we're looking into. We have talked to a couple solar companies about putting some projects together. If we did anything, it'd have to be for us specifically. The local power grid is not overly accepting of selling power back. So that we thought that might be another avenue for us. But, we are absolutely looking at solar. We're looking at the batteries, and then we're also looking at, just natural gas generators and things like that to keep things rolling.
And Anthony DeVideo, by the way, Anthony, sorry about your Phillies, but not sorry. What do you do? I think he's trying to swoop in on some undesirable shrimp.
Is he trying to eat free shrimp? Is that what he's trying to do?
That's what it
sounds like Anthony's trying to do here.
What are you
Those
trying?
Are ours. That's what I was supposed to say. I eat them. That's what we do with them.
The extras. Nick's just down there, says with the bags. All right, give me the ones that don't look so hot. What do you do with the undesirable shrimps that don't meet standards at the stage of the process? Is this you haven't gotten there yet, or
I mean, no,
Do you have
I
a plan?
mean, so there could be like at this point, like with this, we do sampling on a weekly basis. So like every Wednesday, we do sampling of the shrimp to find out what our biomass is, what the average size is, and we do like a mortality check as well. So in terms of undesirable shrimp, it's very rare that you'll have like an undesirable shrimp that comes out of the pond. Usually what's coming out of the pond is still healthy, it's still alive. The dead shrimp will kind of make their way to the bottom and then they'll just biodegrade. So you get very little, I will say like dead shrimp or things like that come out of the ponds. Now, obviously, when we put them in an ice bath to chill them to make sure that they, that their biochemistry stays the same between the time it comes out of the ponds and goes to the processing plant, yeah, they all die. But from the standpoint that you get like undesirable shrimp, it's really, if you were to say harvest them and you put them in water that's not filled with ice or packed on ice, they may start to turn because they'll be dead and they'll be in this super hot water. So they may, but really,
So you think it's about the processing afterwards, essentially,
well,
is what
no,
could affect it?
very little issues there, especially with
Got it.
it just depends on how the processing methodology too. If you're doing it with head on, so like just take the whole shrimp, you flash freeze it, or if you're deheading it where you pop off the heads and you have the tail shrimp that you would normally see. Very, very, I would say it's very consistent across the board from that. And as long as you get the shrimp processed quickly, you usually really have no issues with that.
Right on. We have George Hugger. Would people like the BFC to do a contest to win free shrimp? We buy and you fry. And guess what? We've been doing this contest in the Discord, and we're actually we're launching relaunching our Discord. And I got to say, we've had 2 winners, and you got to let us know when you guys get your hot sauce, because some of you guys won some big jugs of Duffs, and actually it was Michael Singleton and Anthony DeVideo. You guys won our Friday contest. We've been doing this contest thing, and so we had 2 hot sauce winners. And you know what? We will do a shrimp. Could we send them out shrimp, Jordan? Maybe we can. I don't know. I like doing contests, so we're gonna be doing that every Friday in the soon to be very private Discord, and we're gonna cap off at about 100 or 150 guys, just so you know. But yeah, so let's see. And, all right, here's another question that John has, and he's a potential shareholder.
Yep.
Where did Nick go? We lost Nick. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he went to the grocery store to get shrimp.
So. He's like, I need some shrimp right now. Yeah. In case of a disease breakout, can you medicate, or will the shrimp be dumped? Or could it affect the whole pond essentially? I mean, like,
oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, a disease, it can absolutely affect the whole pond. And the nice thing about where we do it from an extensive standpoint is we do have a little bit of break in terms of, the system not being totally compromised should there be a disease outbreak. You'll be able to identify that pretty quickly when you see like the health of the shrimp and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We will not use antibiotics ever. So from a medication standpoint, if it's not a natural remedy or something to change the quality of the water related to like minerality or salinity in some cases, there are some natural methods we can use. We will never use antibiotics. So that is a massive, massive issue globally. One of the things that we're super concerned about, one of the reasons why we decided to start the farm here in the US is because of the strict standards. Right now, on imported shrimp that comes in from overseas, only about 1% of that shrimp is actually tested for antibiotics. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's really hard to trust what's coming necessarily on your plate. But from our farm, that we're never using antibiotics. We've, all the testing we've ever done related to that, we'll find no issues. So that's really, the use of antibiotics is something we will never even consider. We will take natural methods, but this is where the genetics come in. This is really why it's important that you have shrimp that are resistant to disease or that have that disease tolerance as well.
Right on. And Burton says, would be awesome to have a video tour. And this is what I'm going to propose to you. And I want to do something. And Rob, if you're still listening, he might be resting up and maybe he's sleeping. Maybe he's still on. I'd like to put together and have you send us a bunch of videos. If you guys look, I did cover IGPK and they did a whole facility of the tour. It was great having them on and being able to see the whole facility, see the process, have the process explained. It would be awesome to get a video promotion that we could share with people prior leading up to the thing and have you right out there on the farm, where we could just look at the pumps. We could look live. You could introduce us to your team and you could just show us what you got going on over there. I would love to book that with you guys and sort of just give everybody sort of that virtual tour. I think that potential shareholders would love something like that, dude. Really.
No problem. I'll be happy to do that.
Yep, and John Don does say he appreciates the direct answers. So that's great. Is there anything that you want to close with to your potential shareholders or your current shareholders right now?
No, I mean, we're just super excited to get the harvest out. We're super excited about what we've got going on in India as well. So yeah, I mean, the future of the company is looking really good. Like, Nick mentioned that we've got a bunch of headwinds, or a bunch of tailwinds, I should say. One of those things too being the financing. So yeah, I mean, that's where it's a capital intensive business. And the way that the
Hmm.
business works too is you incur all your expenses up until the harvest. So looking at ways where we can get month over month revenue, one of the things being broodstock, the other thing being potentially covering some ponds. Those are things that we're looking at as well, not just having kind of our two major cash recognition events at the harvest, but really starting to look at what we can do from a month over month perspective as well, kind of keeping that cash coming in. So we know it's important to the growth of the company, where we ultimately want to take this. We need to make sure that we've got the resources that we need to make sure that we can get there. So, but yeah, no, I think the one thing too, and Nick can attest to this too. Like, we get a lot of questions from shareholders, and we have absolutely no
Hmm.
qualms about responding to those. Like, we're going to be completely transparent. Yeah, there's a lot of things that come up sometimes where I don't necessarily respond right away, but we'll get to whatever we can. And if there's any direct questions or any conversations, like, I'm more than happy to meet with people as well. So I've been doing that down here in the Dallas area, and also down where the farm is too. So yeah, I mean, we'll look to do something, later this year, or early next year, where we can try and get to a city where we've got a lot of shareholders located, and try and have a meetup or something like that. Because I know getting down to the farm, it's not easy. I mean, the farm is in the southern tip of Texas. It's a minimum 1 to 2 stopper in terms of flights, so it takes all day to get there if you're coming from anywhere outside of Texas. But love to have people down, but we'll also love to meet up with folks as well. I'm trying to get the story out there. But yeah, we just really want to make sure that we can get the name, we can get the story, and we can get the company out there for for everybody to see.
Right on. It was great having Nick Coriano and yourself on. Adam Thomas of Transamerican Aquaculture, thank you so much for joining me again, sir, on
No
the
problem.
Buffalo Fireside Chats.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right, take care. Well, that was interesting and fun. That's what firsthand due diligence is all about. I love talking to those guys. So much to learn there. But we're not done yet. I actually wanted to cover a couple more, just two stocks that have sort of been on my radar. Well, one's been on my radar for a long time, and I traded it back in 2021. But let me take a look at the comment section real quick. Guys, honestly, when I relaunched the Discord, I hope that everybody that is watching this joins me, because I do plan on having live one-on-ones with CEOs, doing voice chats with them, doing voice conferences, and really opening up some private opportunities for you guys. This is a market, in my opinion, that we should take advantage of. And we need to get out of the mentality of the past and take advantage of the present. That's what it's about, guys. All right. And hey, I am not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm learning and I'm adapting, and I hope to be doing a better job in the next 2 to 3 years with the investments that I'm making today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about LSEB. Now, this one is completely off the grid. It's off the radar. It's a brand new stock, and the share structure is great. And I've had one of the management on, Jordan Starkman, who is actually a part of RMRK, but we're not going to talk about Jordan today. We're going to talk about Lauren Bentley, and we're going to talk about LSEB. She's the CEO of LSEB. And I want to just sort of do a little not firsthand due diligence, a little due diligence. See, I keep saying firsthand. It's not firsthand when Lauren's not on. Oh, by the way, Lauren will be on the show. That's right. That's why it's in my mind. She's going to be on the show in the next couple weeks. I have communication with her. So, guys, this one's good. There is a private placement opportunity. I'm only going to open up to people that I'm close with. And if you are interested, I could dox you and give me your social security number, and we could do all the DD. No, I'm just kidding. And the background checks. No, but seriously, all jokes aside, guys, if you are interested in doing a private placement, they are currently looking for funding. Not a lot of funding, so they're not accepting everybody, and there's a limit to what they're willing to accept. So I want to talk about LSDB. Let's get to this. The security details here for LSB, it's sitting at 66 cents, had some movement. The market cap is 198,000, authorized share count of 500 million, and their outstanding share count is 300,000. They are very early in the process here. This is literally the ground floor at this point. So you're probably wondering, like, what these guys do. All right. Well, they are in the fashion industry. All right. Let's talk about this. And let's talk about, and I have a great video promo that it was Pixel TV put together. Sam over there, awesome job on the video. And I'm going to go through this latest press release. They just launched their line. How cool is that? Let me get over to, I lost something for a second. Ah, my goodness. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Here is the, oh, good Lord. Boop, 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 boop. There it is. There she is. There she is. All right. So LSEB Creative Corp launches brand Lauren Bentley swimwear with digital storefront. So this is brand new, guys. You've heard it here first type of stock, and the share structure is tight. They're not looking to bloat it, and I can't wait to learn more. I did sign on as a consultant for this company, and I'm looking to raise capital for this company. I'm very excited about doing that. And I actually had a chance to meet Lauren and Jordan over the over the summer in August. Yeah, you could see us here. We're hanging out, and we had some great discussion. And it was just, like I said, it was just nice to sit down with these guys and have coffee for 2 hours. So it was great. Had a great time. But let's get through this PR. I'm having window problems today. So the Lauren Bentley swimwear brand encapsulates timeless elegance and impeccable craftsmanship, ultimately forming perfect foundational pieces that will sustain their relevance through time. Rather than, I feel like I'm doing a commercial for some fashion stuff. It's pretty funny. It's something I've never talked about. There's so many topics I never thought I'd talk about until I started this podcast. Rather than becoming obsolete with trends or season, the collection caters to both men and women. Women are offered a selection of 9 styles in 4 colorways, and men 2 styles in 2 inseam lengths, each in 2 colorways. The collection was developed with precision, ensuring superior fabrics and trims, construction, and fit and function. This attention to detail was made possible by the strategic partnership made with the manufacturer. Partnership with a highly capable and established manufacturer was key to achieving product quality that will allow the company to position the brand as a leader in the luxury swimwear industry, an industry that is forecasted to expand the CAGR and that's compound annual growth rate of 5.9%, reaching $33 billion by 2028. That's huge. It goes on, overall, it's an exciting time for the company, and we are eagerly anticipating what lies ahead as we continue to focus on growing the brand through further development of innovative product design, brand recognition, and marketing initiatives. Management is encouraged by the positive feedback on social media platforms. The company intends to be more aggressive with its marketing efforts in the upcoming months, focusing on growing the customer base through various strategies: digital advertisement, print advertisement, partnerships with influencers, social media, and email marketing to maintain consistent communication and customer engagement. This is a major milestone. This is Lauren here. This is a major milestone for the company and myself. Many years have gone into building the foundational elements of Lauren Bentley swimwear and preparing for its launch, which is why we are so pleased to be sharing the brand's digital flagship with customers. We have been meticulous in our go-to market strategy, which has resulted in an impressively concise brand identity. Our current focus is executing on our market strategies to ensure we are positioned amongst our target market and converting sales. She goes on, a company's story is woven of the brands it leads. Launching our leading brand and its website further illustrates our company goals and cements our commitment to growth. So this is a ground floor opportunity here, guys, in my opinion. And by that, I don't mean stock price wise necessarily. I mean, the company is brand new. So I want to see what they're able to do. And I want to share this video, all right, of Sam put this together, from the Winning Whales Discord, Pixel TV. This guy's awesome, man. It's absolutely great to be able to sit down with Sam, or talk to Sam regularly. He's a great guy, and he did a really good job with this video promo video. So I'm just going to leave you with this video promo, and then we're going to talk about Fern. I'm going to give you my opinion about Fern. I do have an announcement about Fern, by the way. You know what I do. All right, so let's check this out. I'm going to get me out of here.
In the opulent realm of luxury fashion, there is a new leader ascending, LSEB Creative Corp. Where timeless elegance meets contemporary innovation. This entity is not just about aesthetics, it's about creating a unique narrative. LSEB plans to lead in global luxury fashion, launching into the market with its flagship brand, Lauren Bentley Swimwear. Introducing Lauren Bentley, the visionary designer and entrepreneur driving this venture. She is equipped with an advanced diploma in fashion business management. Her experience is vast, from wholesale to product development, sourcing to operations. Lauren's resume is a testament to her success in the world of fashion. And the timing couldn't be better. The global luxury swimwear market size was valued at $23.3 billion in 2022 and is expected to expand by 5.9%, reaching almost $33 billion by 2028. Who's buying? Think successful millennials and Gen Xers, those in high-powered roles, residing in upscale downtown condos or spacious suburban homes. They often share a strong commitment to sustainability when making luxury purchases. When it comes to sustainability, LSEB is committed. They've partnered with suppliers who are committed to ecological and social responsibility, holding certifications like the Global Standard for Organic Textiles and ISO Management System Standards. Their first brand, Lauren Bentley Swimwear, focuses on expertly tailored garments. The swimwear pieces merge timeless silhouettes with modern fits, ultimately forming perfect foundational pieces that will sustain its relevance through time. Painting their brand image, a lavish Mediterranean photo and video campaign was just completed. The setting was sophisticated and captured the very essence and elegance of the Lauren Bentley Swimwear collection. As the spotlight shines brighter on LSEB Creative Corp, their ambitious roadmap is unveiled. They're not content merely making a splash in luxury swimwear. They're setting their sights on broader horizons, men's and women's daywear, eye-catching accessories, lavish loungewear, and even signature fragrances. It's a comprehensive lifestyle vision, and they're just getting started. LSEB's distribution strategy features a blend of B2B and B2C. The Lauren Bentley Swimwear collection just recently launched online to optimize profits and track customer preferences. For those with an eye on stock investing, LSEB Creative is now trading on the OTC markets under the symbol LSEB. LSEB Creative Corp, a blend of visionary creativity and fashion business acumen. In the expanse of luxury fashion, this company is already leaving its distinctive maker's mark. For investors, it has the potential to be the next big wave in luxury retail.
Yeah, right on. Sam at Pixel World, you did a great job with that video, dude. So congrats to you. I wonder if she could do the voiceovers. That the lady who did the voiceovers. Welcome to Buffalo Fireside Chats. I don't know. She had a good voice. But no, I'm excited about that one. So if you're interested in possibly doing a private placement, if you're a serious investor and you want in on this one, hey, hit me up. Join the Discord, but don't join yet. We're gonna relaunch that thing, but shoot me a DM at Buffalo Fireside Chats at gmail.com. All right, last but not least, I want to talk about Fern. You know, that's funny. Anthony, the video. this is pretty funny. Lauren Bentley just sounds like I can't afford the swimwear. It's a good name. It's a good name with the product. But I gotta say, so for Fern, I was in this one a couple years ago. I was in and out very, very, very quickly. But they're back. They're back, and the stock just went up. It went up what, like 100%. It's been moving. I do want to go through the latest PR and sort of just look at the chart. I was thinking about getting back in when it was down to about when it retraced to about 3, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to hold off. because it's been on my watch list for a long time. Like I said, I'm a former investor, but I like the buzz that's being created around the stock right now. And so let's just look at their latest PR. Let's look at their security details briefly, and then I'll share with you guys what I can. And so here we are, Fern. This is what happened. This is what happened, and it's like it's significant growth there, and then it retraced. I'm like, all right, was it going to be this? Was it going to catch the 3? And it didn't. But a lot of that's just because of the recent PR that came out. So I held true. Don't go in something that's up 100, 150, 200%. That's something I'm going to abide by unless there's obviously something significant behind it. But I didn't do that. But I'm still intrigued by the company and what they're doing. So check this out. I want to share their latest PR. Let's get through it. My gosh, I think I'd be faster at this. You know what I'm saying, guys? Boom. Okay. This is the big announcement. Basically, a fintech software firm, which is what they are, focused on providing Web3 cloud-based enterprise infrastructure solutions and APIs for digital asset trading, NFT marketplaces, and data aggregation solutions, is pleased to announce a shareholder town hall scheduled for December 15th at 4 p.m. The town hall will be presented by Fernhill executives, including CEO Chris Curran, who I have established communication with, and we are hoping to set up an interview on the BFC and have a little podcast, hopefully in the next couple weeks. I'm excited to have him on, and I'll keep you guys posted. President Mark Lasky and Main Block President Ryan Kukin. The executives will provide corporate updates on a number of topics, including potential acquisitions, partnerships, financing, and revenues, amongst other items. At the conclusion of the presentation, there will be a brief Q&A session. The town hall meeting will be conducted via Zoom. Additional details will be provided closer to the event date. We are excited to provide updates to our loyal shareholder base, said Mark Lasky, Fernhill president. We've been feverishly working behind the scenes on a number of initiatives and feel that it's best to be transparent and communicate the latest progress and direction of the company. Hosting a town hall gives us the opportunity to update everyone with our current status and why we are so excited about 2024 and beyond. And let me tell you, I had the chance to be in that one, and that went on a very nice run in 2021. So the stock could move. The stock could move. The security details on it, I'll just read them off to you guys. I'm not going to do the screen share, but they have a $6.6 million market cap, authorized share count of 3 billion, which is the same as GRPS, and an outstanding share count of 2.4 million, or a billion, I'm sorry, with 829 of those being restricted, and the unrestricted share count is 1.6. And those are all up to date. So, I actually was 10.9 was the last that was updated, but 2 weeks away. Well, we'll see what happens if there's any other updates. So I am pretty excited about being able to sit down with Chris or sit down with management, whatever we're able to do, and sort of, because it's still on my list, and I'm still a potential shareholder, and I'm excited to see the announcements that they come up with, especially as this creates a lot of the buzz, that has been of recent. And I had to laugh about when I was reading just through Twitter and stuff like that, like we all do. And somebody posted this, and I laughed. Super Robot, Fern, I have now experienced what purgatory feels like. Have you? Us CYBL shareholders have. But I'm just busting his chops. But no, it's like, it showed that retracement now that things are pushed back, and that catalyst date of December 15th is going to be crucial. So you guys want to keep this on your watch list, see how it trades. And there might be some movement leading up to that. I really do think there will be significant movement leading up to that. So it's good to take advantage of the pullbacks. And shout out to Super Robot. I'm not picking on you, but that was funny when you did post that. So I don't know. I want to thank you guys for sticking around and doing this live with me. I always say I'm going to keep it under 45 minutes, but we do so much on the show, man. Guys, I'm telling you, and I really firmly, believe that if we are positive in sharing due diligence and being real and treating each other with respect. And when I say it, I mean it. There is more that binds us than breaks us. If we find our commonalities and work to build each other up and share due diligence and be respectful towards one another, the outcome is going to be a lot more positive, and you're going to feel better about it. So try to be, nice to each other out there. It's not easy, especially when the share prices are down and people get all heated and stuff. Trust me, I get it, guys. It's not easy, but we need to work to get out of that 2021 mentality. Seriously, guys. That is all I got. I want to thank each and every one of you. Jord, that super chat, that $20 was very, very nice of you. Unnecessary, but I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you are going to have a great rest of the week. And that is it. And remember, there is more that binds us than breaks us. Peace out, guys.